Arizona's housing scene has always had a reputation: sun-soaked, expensive, competitive. But what if the reality beneath the headlines is shifting right now, in silence? While most buyers are still chasing Phoenix and Scottsdale, six overlooked cities are quietly rewriting the story of affordability and opportunity in this state. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why these six places are not just surviving the 2025 housing crunch, they're setting the stage for the next wave of smart ownership. This isn't rumor or hype, it's data backed by Zillow, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the Federal Reserve. Let's start with the backdrop. The average Arizona home now sits around $435,000. That's intimidating for the average family, especially when inflation has squeezed every other expense. But here's the surprise. Six markets across the state are sitting well below that number, not by a few dollars, but by tens of thousands, in some cases even 200,000 less. These aren't ghost towns. These are communities where the math actually works again. Take Yuma. Tucked in the southwest corner near California and Mexico, Yuma's housing market is quietly becoming a safety net for buyers priced out of the big metros. The average home value here is about $302,000, that's $132,000 below the state's average. Monthly mortgages hover near $1,700. For working families, that's the difference between drowning in debt and breathing easy. But affordability isn't the whole story. Yuma's economy is growing on logistics and agriculture, industries that have kept employment stable even through nationwide fluctuations. It's a city where your mortgage doesn't eat your life savings and your paycheck still has room to breathe. Now slide east into Tucson. This is Arizona's old soul historic neighborhoods, desert views, a university that feeds both culture and commerce. The average home value is around $339,000. That's still nearly $100,000 below the state average. Monthly costs hover near $1,900. Tucson proves something vital. Affordability doesn't mean compromise. It means opportunity. For remote workers and young families, Tucson has become a halfway point big enough to grow, small enough to still feel human. When you mix its livability score of 73 and a median income around $54,000, you start to see the balance investors often chase but rarely find. Then there's Maricopa. About 35 miles southwest of Phoenix, this city feels like the future of suburban Arizona. Average home value? Roughly $355,000. That's $80,000 less than the state average. Yet here's the catch: the median income in Maricopa sits around $94,000, the highest among all six cities. That single number changes everything. It means residents earn more while paying less for housing. It's the kind of math that financial mentors like me look for when we talk about long-term stability. And though Maricopa's cost of living edges higher around $4,000 per month, it's powered by families who can actually afford it. Shift southeast and you'll find Sierra Vista, a city that's been quietly standing strong on the edge of the border. The average home here costs about $304,131 below the state average. Its livability score of 78 makes it second best among the six. Sierra Vista tells a story most investors overlook. It's military anchored with nearby Fort Huachuca providing consistent employment, and yet it's open enough for retirees and new homeowners to find comfort. Average mortgages sit around $1,700, a figure that in today's economy almost sounds unreal. Now let's talk about the real underdog, San Luis. On paper, it doesn't just beat the state average, it blows past it. The average home price? About $235,000, a full $200,000 below Arizona's mean. Imagine that, a single-family home priced nearly in half compared to Phoenix or Scottsdale. Monthly payments? About $1,300. This isn't just affordability, it's accessibility. San Luis sits right on the U.S.-Mexico border, and it's one of the youngest cities demographically. Only about 10% of residents are over 65. That youth matters. It means growth, energy, demand for new construction, and a workforce that sustains the market. Finally, the sleeper hit, Kingman. Up in the northwest on historic Route 66, Kingman blends history with a surprising future. Homes here average around $272,000, more than $160,000 below the state norm. The livability score tops the list at 80, and mortgages average roughly $1,500. What makes Kingman special isn't just the numbers. It's the momentum. With more remote professionals leaving California and Nevada, Kingman's small-town comfort and affordability have turned it into an unexpected relocation magnet. Now let's pause for a moment. You might notice a pattern emerging across all 6 cities. They all sit under the state's average home value. They all maintain livability scores above 70. They all present the kind of middle-class sustainability that's disappearing elsewhere in the U.S. housing landscape. When you stack these numbers side by side, the picture is clear. Arizona is quietly running a 2-speed market. On one side, you have the flashy metros where prices push families to the edge. On the other, these quiet, accessible cities are building steady value with room to grow. If you're watching this video because you're trying to make sense of your next move, whether you're a first-time buyer, a relocating worker, or an investor searching for untapped markets, this is where your focus belongs. Let me translate the data into real-world meaning. In Yuma or San Luis, you can own a 3-bedroom home for less than the price of a 1-bedroom condo in Phoenix. In Sierra Vista, you'll find stability backed by government employment and low mortgage pressure. In Maricopa, your income-to-cost ratio gives you the breathing space to plan a future, not just survive the month. And in Kingman, the community still feels like a neighborhood, not a market bubble. These are the places where the American idea of homeownership is still alive. But here's the truth most people miss: opportunity doesn't wait. The reason these cities are labeled hidden gems is because they're still below the radar. Once attention floods in, prices follow and affordability slips away. If you've been sitting on the fence waiting for some grand economic signal that it's time to act, this data is that signal. Because while Phoenix headlines scream about price spikes, 6 quieter Arizona cities are quietly telling a different story. And that story is possibility. It's about families moving where their money stretches farther. It's about professionals escaping rent traps. It's about retirees choosing peace without sacrificing comfort. It's about people like you realizing that wealth isn't just built in big cities, it's built in smart decisions. The numbers prove it, the livability scores confirm it, and the trend is already underway. So the real question isn't whether Arizona still has affordable homes. It's where those homes are and how long they'll stay that way. Now let's be honest, not every one of these cities fits every lifestyle. Tucson offers city energy. San Luis offers affordability. Kingman gives you space and calm. Maricopa blends suburban comfort with access to Phoenix. Your choice depends on your goals. But whichever direction you lean, one truth remains. The Arizona housing shift of 2025 favors those who move early, not those who watch from the sidelines. That's why I tell my audience, think like an investor, even if you're just buying your first home. Because the difference between financial struggle and financial freedom often comes down to timing and awareness. And right now, awareness is what separates the hopeful from the prepared. So here's your takeaway. Study these markets, understand the local job bases, check livability and mortgage ratios, then act. Waiting for a perfect moment rarely works. It's those who see the opportunity when everyone else is distracted who win in real estate. If you've watched to this point, you're already ahead of most buyers. You're paying attention to data, not noise. Arizona's hidden gems won't stay hidden forever. But today, while the spotlight is still elsewhere, they remain open doors for buyers, investors, and dreamers ready to build something lasting. Remember, I'm not a legal or licensed real estate agent. I'm your financial mentor guiding you through trends the mainstream often ignores. My goal isn't to sell you property. It's to open your eyes to timing, location, and opportunity. The numbers speak for themselves. The proof is in the data, and the window of affordability, though narrow, still exists. Don't just chase headlines. Follow the signals that lead to growth. Because in this new Arizona market, the winners won't be the loudest, they'll be the ones who listen first.